So we're going to do bone repair. Basically what we want to do is we looked at those steps of inflammation, organization, regeneration, and fibrosis. So we've already seen those steps. We want to take a look at those and see, because that was whenever we were doing tissue repair, we want to see what are some different words that we're going to use when we're talking about tissue repair in general versus bone repair. So bone is a type of connective tissue, so it has a few specific words. So let me draw a picture really quick just so we can kind of jog our memory from what we've seen before. So this picture should look kind of familiar. This is what I drew whenever we were doing the inflammation steps. So inflammation starts with that first damage to whatever you're talking about, and it ends with this blood clot. So some different things that we're seeing in this picture. We're seeing the blood clot. We're seeing this fibrous connective tissue, this granulation tissue underneath that. We're seeing this blood capillary that brought clotting proteins and macrophages and these other white blood cells to help kill whatever might be trying to enter our skin. And then we saw the repair. So let's keep this picture and just add some new words. So this blood clot for a bone, and I'll draw this out using these words, and then I'll draw a bone specifically so you can kind of get a better idea of what it might look like. So our blood clot, instead of it being called a blood clot, it's going to be called a fracture hematoma. So a hematoma, oma is this swelling. We typically talk about omas with cancer. That's like a suffix like carcinoma or sarcoma or whatnot, but really, a oma is just a swelling. So this hematoma is this swelling of blood. Hematoma. That's your blood clot. And then we'll have our soft callus, also called a fibrocartilaginous callus. And this is your granulation tissue. So this here, we call this a soft or a fibrocartilaginous. Fibrocartilaginous callus. Alright, so then we're going to have our blood flow being reestablished. So we talked about reestablishing capillary beds whenever we were doing those organization events and whatnot. So these capillary beds, yes, they're bringing white blood cells and clotting proteins and whatnot, but for these bones, they're also bringing things like osteoblasts and fibroblasts. So these osteoblasts and these fibroblasts can secrete this matrix, and then they can secrete matrix, and when that matrix gets secreted, it gets transformed into bone. So if I put my osteoblast and my fibroblast laying stuff down, I'll just put it as red. This is going to be called, this is when we convert this granulation tissue into bone. This is now called a bony or a hard callus. And then with remodeling, it's the same thing as always. Osteoclasts are reestablishing this medullary space or medullary cavity. We're seeing osteoclasts remodel spongy into compact bone. And so so the different words you want to recognize. Fracture hematoma, that's a blood clot. Soft fibrocartilaginous callus, that's this granulation tissue we already talked about. And then once we have this reestablishment of blood flow bringing these osteoblasts and fibroblasts, we can turn this secreted matrix into bone. And then we have this bony or hard callus. And then remodeling, we already talked about that. That's bone deposition and resorption. Alright, effects of aging on bone. What happens whenever you get older? As Professor Cummings says, it just sucks to get old. So what happens as you increase your age? As you increase your age, you'll get a decrease in protein formation. So this matrix isn't going to be as robust. We don't have the proteins being produced, so the matrix doesn't have as much protein in it. So the bones can be more brittle. So bones get brittle as we age. They can break more easily. And then this loss of calcium. So we might not be absorbing calcium. So you increase age. You decrease the amount of calcium in the bones. This could be because you're not absorbing it right, or maybe your hormone levels aren't allowing you to absorb it. So you have this decrease in estrogen maybe. Estrogen's important in that calcium deposition. So as women get older and lose their estrogen, they get these softer bones. And now we'll finish up with a few bone disorders. So we have 3 we'll talk about: Rickets, osteomalacia, and Paget's disease. So 2 of these have to do with the amount of vitamin D in the diet. So if I draw my bow legs, this is an x-ray. If I draw these bow legs. What this is indicative of, this is called rickets. So rickets is a lack of vitamin D when you're a kid. So if you have a lack of vitamin D, you get this lack of calcium absorption, so your bones stay soft, your diathesis doesn't calcify very well, these epithelial plates enlarge, so you just have more cartilage than bone, and you get this bow-leggedness. I might be spelling that wrong, there might not be a W, but bow-legged. And then we have osteomalacia. So osteomalacia is a lack of vitamin D as you get older. So go ahead and look at his last few slides if you want a better x-ray. But this osteomalacia, this is normal vitamin D when you're a kid, but decreased vitamin D as an adult. Decreased vitamin D means decrease in calcium absorption, which means that we're going to have softer, weaker bones. And then last but not least, we have this Paget's disease. So this comes from an excess of deposition and reabsorption of bone, so basically an excess of bone remodeling, and you'll get a super high ratio of spongy bone, and we think this is from a virus. So really quickly, Paget's disease. This is going to be caused by excessive bone remodeling, so deposition and resorption of the bone. In excess, and what's that going to lead to? High ratio of spongy bone to compact. And spongy bone has those big holes and stuff. The compact bone's a lot more dense and whatnot. So these bones aren't very strong. And we think this is caused by a virus. Okay, that's it for bones. Hope these really helped. And this week we'll move into skeleton and joints.